Welcome to Real Flix Reviews. We're like a book club for people who hate reading. This month we're doing foreign films, so James picked the movie Perfume, the story of a murderer, and we bring you movie news at the end of the program. This week we have Jonathan Charney, James Stevens,
hello,
and the strange man from the strange little land in the lower left-hand corner, Ryan Preston. So which one of you guys has the description for this movie?
I got it here. Okay, let's see. Perfume, the story of a murderer, 2006. Jean-Baptiste Granouille, born with a superior olfactory sense, creates the world's finest perfume. His work, however, takes a dark turn as he searches for the ultimate scent. Vague, but semi-appropriate.
Yeah, pretty vague. It's not the worst one, but
It's an IMDb. They're either extremely vague or they're able to tell the entire movie. So it's either a spoiler or it doesn't make any sense.
But
So.
I'm kind of happy that they didn't really spoil much of this flick. With their
Right. Well, it's this flick is based on subtlety, so there's really not much they could have said. They could have ruined it. Luckily.
Yeah, and I'm surprised this one only is a 7.5.
You know what? That I've found that most of my favorite movies on IMDb specifically have about that rating.
Yeah, about a 7.
They float in and around. Like between 6.8 to like almost 8. And obviously some of the better ones are some of the seminal favorites. But for me,
most of the blockbusters.
That range.
No, one of your favorite movies has a 5.1, Ryan.
Which one is that?
Masters of the Universe.
Oh, see, I would have given it a 5.1 too if I had to rate it on the 10 scale.
If he's being honest, yeah.
So
sure, absolutely.
So you kick it off, John, because you're the one that hasn't seen it yet.
What year was this supposed to take place? I was actually looking it up. I don't remember if I could find.
It was like mid 18th century, sometime like 1750, 1740s, somewhere in there.
Yeah, I think it was somewhere around there. There's a book, and I don't know what the book says.
I know it was mid 18th century, so it's just somewhere in that 40-year period.
The thing that really caught me off guard at first was the cast. I mean, you have Alan Rickman and Dustin Hoffman, two really decent actors. And
not even that, but also playing sort of these little bit parts throughout the movie. Not throughout the movie, but in their little parts, they just sort of had these little characters, and then that was it, and then moved on. But if they didn't bank on them being throughout the entire thing.
And if you notice, they both kind of play their kind of typical roles. Dustin Hoffman was kind of this bumbling, bumbling idiot type of guy. Like if you watched the one that was it, Mr. Magoo's Wonder Emporium or whatever it's called.
I was a big fan of the Mr. Magoo as a kid, the cartoon.
Yeah,
so I didn't watch it, but
Mr. Something Emporium's Wonder Emporium. I mean, because it's that.
But my wife just looked at him and goes, "Hook."
But see, I think he plays more bumbling, more characters closer to this. And then Alan Rickman, who Office Snake, I like that character for him because he plays an amazing guy you love to hate.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he has that real intensity about him, and just some of the better delivery that you can hope from an actor.
Yeah, but I can't really say I hated him.
Words and just draws as much as he can from it.
I actually really liked both of them in this. I thought they both did a pretty amazing job. The thing that surprised me about this, how that boy seemed to be the bad luck symbol.
Yeah.
Every time he left, everybody died.
Well, not really everybody died, but the person who was influential or had something to play in his life died.
Well, yeah, it was his
mom. It
was
the orphan lady.
Yeah.
The tanner. And then Dustin Hoffman's character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, what a way to die.
And then it wasn't really the lady who owned the other perfume shop, but it was the guy who was sleeping with her ended up dying for.
Well, it seemed like everybody who had ulterior motives died.
Oh, yeah. That's a good point. That's a good way to put it.
Well, yeah, everybody that was in it for selfish reasons, kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, this dude was just like a plague. He killed everybody almost.
Right. But the people who sold him, and then even Dustin Hoffman, who thought he was a good person, but was still selfish, like "don't die on me yet" kind of thing.
Yeah, and then to take 100 recipes of perfumes.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Actually, the thing that surprised me is one of the things I've always loved about kind of the period pieces, how well they do putting things together. You know, I mean, like the visual you see, you know, the visuals they put together in it, obviously, it's like cool. It looks like it's, you know, France and in certain period of time here.
Right, yeah, the dirty side of Paris that you can almost smell the dirt in the air. How well they decorated.
And I didn't see any mistakes either. You know, or some movies, you know, they'll be in like 16th century France, and then the background you see a car move by. You know,
I think they've gotten pretty good at that nowadays.
You know, the way that they showed that part of France, it was really well done. I was kind of pointing that out to Jen, and when everybody's going by, when he first gets to the actual city, and everybody's got the handkerchiefs up to their noses. I was pointing out to Jen, that's perfume, so they don't have to smell the defecation on the streets and on the people. And
right.
I liked
that's where rosewater originally came from.
Yeah, I liked where they kept. They did the same thing with Les Mis, the new version of Les Mis. They show that seedier, disgusting side where, you know, they don't show the aristocratic side.
Right.
Which I thought was good. I mean, it makes me want to go to France even less, just to know what's been on those streets.
Right.
You know, it's like New York. I don't want to go there. I know what those streets have been on those streets.
Right. Yeah. And but like you were saying, the contrast between high society and the peasants of, you know,
and I
France.
I thought they did a really good job actually showing that. If you see, as far as the dichotomy between the two, on early on, you saw, you know, his mom gave birth to him under a fish stand. when later on, you know, and when he's in, was it the grass, the fields, or whatever it's called? You know, when you see all these rich people, you know, playing hide and seek in a giant maze in their clothing, I thought how they showed it and the cinematography, how they did that was actually really well done. A lot more than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, they chose, as John would say, a really good color palette for it.
Right. I was waiting for him to say it. But
I was waiting for it too, but he wasn't going there, so I figured out. But he was hinting at it without saying it. Did you notice that? Hinting at the color palette without saying color palette.
I wasn't going to. But it did really stand out. I really want to see a Blu-ray version of this. I want to see the 1080p, because there's a couple of visuals on here that I'd love to actually get a closer look at. Just because you know, it's hard to explain, but it's just really well done. The story I thought was...
You really want to see those boobs in high def.
Yeah, I was going to say, he wants to see that first redhead dead.
She was really cute.
Right, yeah. High definition Blu-ray. Yeah. Sick man.
Well, actually, one of the scenes is when the flowers are coming down.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I want to take a better look at that.
But you're talking about when they did the roses the first time?
Yeah.
Oh, that's another thing. How much they actually got out of those roses was 1 ounce out of how many pounds was it? Do you remember how many pounds?
1,000 roses.
1,000 roses. It wasn't pounds. It was 1,000.
Yeah, 1,000 roses, and you get 1 ounce.
Yeah. It's the only
probably a rough estimate, but you know.
The only thing I was always wondering is why couldn't he just ask instead of, you know, it's like, hey, can I borrow your hair? You know?
Oh, well, I'll get into that. But, you know, I thought you were going to say, I wonder why he just doesn't ask. Can I use the distillery to throw garbage in there and your cat?
Well, there's that, but I think he was going to go that route maybe with the first redhead, but then, you know, he just sort of accidentally killed her. Although I don't know how you accidentally smother somebody in 14 seconds.
I was actually reading about this. I was curious. And according to the book, he knew what he was doing the whole time and he did it on purpose, according from what I've read online. But there's a difference in the ambiguity of the way they show him. Here he has more emotion, and according to what I've read in the book, there's less emotion. It's more...
I would argue with the more emotion. Well, emotion at the things that he's sort of obsessed with, but he's a complete sociopath.
Oh,
this entire movie is a sociopath's wet dream.
Yeah.
Right down to the ending. I mean, literally, it ends with a happy ending, for Christ's sake.
Well,
oh, jeez.
Get it?
From what I understood in the book, he killed 24 people. He actually killed 24 girls. In this one, I think it was only 15, 16?
I thought it was 12.
Well, it was
when he was
12. Making the perfume, it was 13 because he had the final one. It was the 13,
yeah. And then he killed.
Explained the whole 12-note thing, and then that 13th sentence. You know,
but then he killed the girl
like 3 or 4 before that.
No, he killed the girl the first time by smothering her in 14 seconds, as you said. And then
Right.
there was the mistake girl where he had her in the vat.
Oh, that's right.
So
That wasn't a mistake.
But it was a mistake in the fact that he was trying to do it, and it didn't work out.
It was an experiment
Well, I
gone
think
wrong.
he was going to kill her anyway.
Yeah, experiment gone wrong. Yeah.
Because
That's-
remember, Dustin
that's a better
Hoffman's character was saying how you've got to experiment. And this also brings me to his perfume. Was this because early in the movie it talks about some Egyptian, like the perfect perfume, you know, how and
Right.
automatically made everybody fall in love type of thing. Was this
Right.
what he found?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's basically like he I think he realized that when he was talking about this legendary 13th scent that could not be identified, he knew what that was.
Yeah, he
Redhead.
knew that was a
He's-
person.
He's like, oh, I already know what you're talking about because I've smelled that perfect scent, and that's the thing that needs to be added to the, you know. That's what his entire goal was, just to, how do I preserve scent? Because the scent that he smelled, that first redhead, you know, was like, I have to figure out how to bottle this.
So apparently redheads are magical.
Yeah, apparently.
Well, the scent that was the Egypt one, it was the tomb was opened, and then the perfume got released, and everybody on the planet Earth, where it was in paradise, went to
Right.
paradise for a moment. Now, the perfume that he made wasn't exactly that, because I think that one was hinted that they had identified
I think
all of them. They had identified all the scents except for the last one, which would be probably somebody's smell.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, I was gonna say the guy that was rotting inside the tomb, that essence, you know.
yeah,
Well, 'cause
But
that's
believe
too.
me when I tell you, dead people don't smell that good.
I don't need to believe you. I know.
I'm
They
assuming
stink.
I'm assuming this is all based on like just kind of like what he was doing was taking the pheromones, the scents, and all that. But I thought it was interesting how they actually showed him doing that. You know, knocking on the head and using the lard and.
Well, the reason why he did that is he had to have him die during the process.
Oh.
So he did, because remember when he's dealing with the prostitute and he's wrapping her up and he tells her, stop moving, stop stressing because you're going to stink.
Right.
He needs him to die calmly to get all the scent to go into the fat and then to render it out and to create the oil out of it. So that's
Right.
why he was knocking them on the head so they were peacefully dying.
Yeah, if you consider blunt trauma, you know.
You know, I mean, well, it's more peaceful than, suffocation.
Hey, what they don't see.
Well,
won't
you know,
hurt 'em.
one blunt, force trauma to the head is better than, like, let's say 3.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and what they don't see is not going to hurt them.
Yeah,
They'll just.
But that's what I really got out of that is that. But Brian, did you have more to discuss before I jump in?
Well, mostly I was just I've always been fascinated by just how well they showed this guy's lack of emotion towards anything that wasn't his end goal.
Yeah,
He was on.
You know, which is completely a sociopath, but it almost glorified it to a sense because he was the hero of this movie.
yeah.
You know, he was an anti-hero, but it wasn't portrayed as an anti-hero, which is bizarre. Usually, this kind of thing, you sort of have almost this love-hate, but they did it in such a way, you know, to where you almost felt like you were supposed to be like on this guy's side. When the whole time I'm sitting there like, you shouldn't have killed the first lady, like, you dick. Like,
You know who he reminds me of? He reminds me of Ichi the Killer.
Huh?
right?
the-
Yeah, that kind of just.
Well, because Ichi was very obsessive compulsive about things, and this guy was on the level of OCD to a
But the simple idea
Okay,
of this
I
guy
got you,
doesn't.
but- yeah.
Well, and the both weren't really, both were kind of new to society, type of thing. This is the first time
Sort.
this is the first time he's really been out, so everything's new and everything's kind of like, and
Well,
then,
first time that he's been in a big city, but at the same time, I mean, he grew up in the orphanage till he was like 14, but he was just kind of the outcast loner. He always knew that he just had this one thing that he was sort of obsessed with, just smelling everything.
Yeah.
So I mean, he was social, but like distant, but separate, like amongst
didn't fit in.
society, but not a part of it.
yeah, separate but equal.
But the
Separately equal. I have no idea what he's
Separate and it's. You'll figure
okay.
it out.
Okay. Now you made me lose my train of thought, damn it. But anyway, I just...
He's the outcast.
Right, but yeah, but just the entire. Jesus, I'm mumbling now.
Yeah, you are.
Humble mumble. Yeah. So yeah, you were talking about how he was the outcast of the society, of the orphanage. You kept around smelling everything.
But basically, just always in his head is there's this goal, like, and the idea that that's what I was gonna say. The idea that there's people in these, like, that the girls that he's killing, there's actually like people there. You know what I'm saying? That's an actual person, who has a life and things. Never enters his thinking. It's just like, oh, this is my next experiment, or this is an end means to an end kind of thing.
Well, I think what he was, and the tagline for this really kind of captures what you're trying to say. It says he lived to find beauty, he killed to possess it. That's right. What it was. End goal is to keep this, to preserve what he thinks is a good smell, which can transfer you into your euphoric state.
Right.
So he likes that, so he wants to preserve it, and that's what it was. And even when at the end, he's walking, and he's heading back towards the fish market. He's wandering around. He's like, well, I've achieved my goal. There's nothing left in this earth. I don't like this stuff anymore. I don't care. Yeah. And he kind of talks about that. Was it John Hurt, who is I love that guy's voice, the narrator.
Yeah, the narration was so good.
He does a great job in delivering those lines at the end when he's wandering away after fulfilling what his goal was.
Yeah.
And I thought it was just like you're saying, is that he's the anti-hero, but you learn to kind of want him to fulfill his goal, to achieve what he's after.
Yeah,
you find yourself rooting for that at some point, which is kind of sad considering that he's killing it.
Right, you really do find yourself like, oh, I kind of want to see him finish the perfume.
Yeah.
And that's really in your head too. So it, in a way, sort of makes you think in that sociopathic sort of way of like, forget about the girls, I just want to see this perfume and what it does.
And then when he actually gets the perfume and they're bringing him out to execute him, and he's kind of popping out the perfume, you kind of find yourself like, yeah, go ahead, get away with it, at some point, because he's getting and he gets all dressed up and he comes out and he's putting on a full-on show.
Yeah, I did have a little bit of a visceral reaction though when the father, Alan Rickman, comes out with the sword and then falls and says, "Forgive me." I was like, "Ah, damn it."
Yeah, you kind of wanted to see him die at that moment.
It would have been a little more cathartic for me to just have him just slice.
Yeah, but unfortunately, it does fit on what the perfume did to everybody else. He had to get a concentrated dose of it. Like far away, it didn't do what everything else did because he hated him so much for killing his daughter. But up close, it's just kind of like, oh, he didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and then you get the orgy scene. It's just...
My favorite part of the whole thing is the priest afterwards.
Yeah.
That part was hilarious when he's just kind of like, where am I? Hey,
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, woman, no!
I like the fact that, the narrator, Allison, just kind of goes, well, they blocked it all out of their memory.
It went so far against their usual morals that they just put it in a fugue state and forgot all about it.
Yeah, and then 45 minutes later, the whole council was, convened.
Right.
And they found the guy who did it.
They found the scapegoat.
Yeah, they hung him.
That's the other thing I had a problem with. There's nobody in the world who would have ever hung somebody with that short of a rope.
I kind of thought the same thing.
I know it's kind of a weird thing to nitpick about because it's weird for me to notice it. But seriously, the reason that you hung people was you have a long rope so it breaks their neck. The idea was never to strangle people.
Well, there's actual. Unfortunately, I do this. There's an actual height to weight ratio.
There's a chart.
And there's a distance ratio from the platform to the ground, so it's a quick instant snap instead of strangling the person.
Right.
I have to say this out loud. Thank you, England, for putting that together for us.
You're really
jerks. Anyway, there is that height to weight ratio, but there were those guys that actually didn't practice that.
I suppose, but I mean,
gave him the midget rope.
I mean, come on, it's 18th century Europe. I'm surprised there's not, they weren't hanging people left and right just for the hell of it.
Well, they had an executioner in the town who could have done it properly, I'm sure.
But see, okay, I'll agree with you with James on this one thing, just because how good they were at torture seems like they would have kind of like not had enough time to practice on actually hanging people.
There's an odd thing.
They had some pretty wicked. I mean, with the 12 strikes to the hips and the joints and the knees and whatnot. Yeah. That's creative. Which obviously. It's like, I forget about this hanging thing. Let's just beat people with a club.
But I mean, if they're gonna go for a quick execution, which a hanging usually is not, unless the height to rate, the ratio is correct and just snaps their neck, just cut his head off.
So the guillotines.
So I have a question for you. What was your first thought when you saw the guy walk in the Little Boy Blue outfit?
The Falcon Boy outfit.
Yeah, the Little Boy Blue. Because my first thought was, oh god, it's Jamie Foxx and Django.
I thought the same thing, because it's funny that first time I saw that, obviously that movie hadn't come out, and I see it now, and that's exactly how I'm going to associate.
That didn't actually cross my mind until now, but like Ryan said, Django wasn't even out yet, so
Well, that was my first thought. It's just like oh wow.
But all in all, I enjoy the story of this movie.
Oh, it's a great story.
It's a great story. It's there is quite a lot of nudity in this movie.
Yeah.
For what it is, there's quite a lot of nudity, considering that this is more of a drama rather than a horror.
It's not obsessive, and the reason why I'm okay with nudity in this movie is it actually matches the story.
Yes.
Some movies do nudity just for nudity, which I think actually takes away from the story it's telling. This one actually, it goes along with it, and it actually flows very well instead of random tits.
I was curious. It's the difference between gratuitous and sort of moving the story along.
Yeah. And this was, I think, an important part of the story.
Yeah, because he's trying to capture.
It was motivated by actual, like characteristics of the character. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
But I was curious about one thing. Like Braveheart got so many different things for this, having so many people on fire at one scene and people running around in another. Film or
so many people mooning the camera in one
that's
scene.
what I was kind of curious did this one get any nominations for or what am I trying to think of, like
for most gratuitous boob shots?
No, for like how many naked people they can capture with one camera. I was wondering if they won anything for that, because there was like how many there was like 200 people out there.
Oh, at least. And
the camera captured them all, and they were all naked.
Right.
It says it won like 12 awards, so that's a good question. I wonder if they actually won any most nude people in one scene.
Yeah, that's what I was curious about, because I know Braveheart got a bunch of those for, how many people were on fire.
Because I figured Caligula would still have the record.
No. Caligula didn't have like a bunch of nude people in it. You've never seen that, have you?
I've never wanted
to. Well,
it
had the certain parts, but they were added after the fact. There was the movie, and then they literally added a bunch of essentially softcore porn scenes after.
Yeah. Well, that was put out by Penthouse. Come on.
Here's my question: what do you give this movie?
Ryan, you can start off.
Well, let's see. We'll just shoot based on the damn good performances. The gentleman that played. Let me get back to his name here because I keep forgetting it. Ben Whishaw. Who you might know is Q most recently from Skyfall, and it didn't connect with me because I think this is the only other thing that I'd seen him in.
Mm-hmm.
Although he's been acting mostly in foreign films. But what a damn good performance this was by him. Most of it's just on his face. It's all subtle, just little facial expressions, little twitches of his eye or his nose. And it's really hard to do that. And pull off, sort of give the impression that you want to give, coupled with obviously Alan Rickman and Dustin Hoffman and all the little bit players. The score was freaking awesome. It was just really slow in a lot of parts. It seemed to kind of drag the story a little past where it maybe needed to go.
So what's
2.5 hours long? They probably could have done it in 2 and just shortened every scene by about 3 minutes.
So what's your overall score?
since we can't do half of numbers, I gotta do 3.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that, but okay.
James?
4.
Yeah, see, I got to go with a 4 too. The thing where I disagree with Ryan personally is I think all the scenes they did, even the ones that, I'm sitting here going, dear God, isn't the scene over with? I thought it played up to the character. I think the whole movie was basically a character study on one person. You get to see him, go crazier and crazier and just going off the deep end. Then towards the end of the movie, when he gets eaten, you get to see like his kind of his redemption moment when he realizes, I can never love anybody the right way. I can never be normal.
I don't think that's redemption. I just think that's,
I think he was trying to martyr himself more than that,
Well, I guess you could say it's a societal redemption because he did get eaten.
As far, like
I'm
I said, the reason I said it's a sociopath's wet dream is because he does everything that he wants to do, does all of these things, gets everybody to have sex with everybody, has this ultimate power, and then the end gets consumed by people who love him. I mean, there's no more poetic end.
Yeah, but they only love him because he
the perfume
doused himself in that stuff.
By the way, I love the whole ending of the movie. I thought was funny because he's like, at the end of it's like, and they felt good. They felt like they really did something loving. That's line right there should be a winner just because it's the most... It's the most creative cannibalism line in history.
Yeah, it was
something fantastic.
That was bizarre.
I was laughing. I was on the verge of crying just because, dude, that's amazing. That's such a good line, a good way to put it. They felt like they've done something great.
You're right.
By biting somebody to death.
That's what I'm saying. Like no matter what, he wins. You know what I mean? He gets away with killing all these women and So.
Now's the movie news section of the program. What do you have for us?
All right, I got a name to throw out to you guys just to see if you guys know who this is. Luke Evans.
Yeah, the name sounds really familiar. Is it the brother of Chris Evans, Captain America?
I have no idea. Anyway, have you guys seen the Three Musketeers that came out last year?
Yes, I was
unfortunately
sad that I did.
Okay, do you remember the guy who played Aramis?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I don't. I didn't.
Did you guys see The Immortals?
Oh, I'm afraid to admit I did.
Do you remember the guy who played Zeus?
No.
Okay. Well, this guy has stepped up and is actually being cast for the remake of Dracula. Nosferatu, for those of you who don't know that old movie.
Is this going to be like...
And hold on. And another one, as he's playing Dracula, and he's also playing... oh, jeez, why am I forgetting that guy's name? Hold on, I want to pull up the name, just to see if Ryan would recognize this, which I think he would, and I can't... So upset I forgot the name. Eric Draven. The Crow. He's playing The Crow. They're remaking The Crow.
I'll be damned.
And they're remaking Dracula, and this guy's going to be doing both starring roles.
Well, here's my question. Is it going to be a rip-off for the one with Keanu Reeves? Is it going to be another verbatim thing? Or how are they going to do this? Because there's only so many ways you can tell the story.
That's what I'm curious about. Well, which one are you talking about? The Crow or Dracula or both?
Well, I think both are a little played out, but Dracula specifically, if they're going to do with Keanu Reeves.
The Crow. Now, screw all the rest of them that came out after Brandon Lee died. I'm talking about the Crow, the really good version of The Crow.
But damn, that movie could kind of stand to be updated, because the only thing that doesn't hold up about that movie is the 80s.
Yeah, exactly.
I actually think if he depending on how he plays it, whether he plays it kind of the superhero or kind of the crazy guy, I think it could be good depending on which way he does it. The Crow.
Oh man, I think it could be good.
I just hope they don't bring back the 80s
plot
music.
Of the story is really what everybody loves. You know what I mean? And like I said, the execution was just incredibly 80s.
Because he definitely has the look that he could pull off the Crow very well, depending on how they do it.
Yeah,
I just looked him up. I could see it.
Yeah, but I mean,
Dracula.
But he's
as long as they don't do it like the Keanu Reeves one.
If they do it separately, if they do it different than that, I think it'll be good. If they do it like that one,
I love Gary Oldman, man. I hated that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how they're going to do it. They haven't really. These are all, the scripts are still being written. There's no release date on either one of these.
Right.
But these are two movies that I would like to see, and I hope that they do a good job to him. This guy, if you look at his career, really has not had a major starring role. He's always been a side character, or not even a bad guy, not even opposite bad leading role, but just side character.
So this is going to be, it's either going to be his make it or break it, where he's either either being stuck like Matthew Lillard is, always playing peripheral characters, or going to become a leading guy.
But at the same time, I mean, it almost would benefit something like Dracula to have a character actor.
Yeah.
I think that's
and same thing with The Crow. I mean, nobody knew who the hell Brandon Lee was when he did The Crow.
I agree. I think that's the only way you could pull it off, by having an actual character actor versus a normal
somebody
actor
who can get lost into the role, who you're going to forget that this guy was in whatever and this guy was this guy, that's Brad Pitt doing whatever the hell. No, this is Dracula that I'm looking at.
I have to admit, I'd love to see Daniel Day-Lewis do a Dracula movie just for the stories.
I'd love to see Daniel Day-Lewis do Dracula, just to hear the stories from the set of people who have to walk around with them in character all the time.
Yeah, just to see him walk up behind, like something and go, I just think it'd be hilarious.
Him do like a superhero movie and have him walking around as Superman the entire day at lunch. Oh man.
I like method actors because the stories is like, really?
Yeah,
that was a good idea.
Imagine him method acting the Flash.
That would be cool.
I'm just saying. Or Aquaman. Holy shit! He just spends the entire day in a pool.
talking to Flipper.
Yeah, trying to talk to, like, he just has like people like import farm trout and just dump it in a pool.
The only thing I see is there's going to be a lot of people going, he looks awfully blue.
Oh jeez. So okay, I got another bit of movie news, and here comes the Men in Black 4.
I liked the last one. I thought it was okay. I do think it's getting a little played out.
Well, hold on. The reason why I even brought this one up, because I would have just bypassed this and just kind of been like, all right, they're doing a Men in Black 4, blah, blah, blah.
Of course, Will Smith needs another job.
Yeah. Anyway, now you are right. I did not dislike Men in Black 3.
For that
I
franchise?
hated Men in Black 2. As far as I'm concerned, that one was just, a black stain on Hollywood.
For that franchise, not hating it is a sign of it's a good.
I really enjoyed the first one.
I have an explanation for this one.
For 4 or 2?
For the series, for the franchise.
Okay, let's hear it.
Okay. Did you guys see Fast and the Furious?
Yes.
Or Fast and Furious, the original one back in the day?
I've unfortunately seen every single one.
Okay.
Even Tokyo Drift.
This is going to be great, because I know, James, you probably saw number 1 and then skipped everything else.
No, I saw parts of Tokyo Drift.
See, I love...
Okay, but I'm saying you weren't exactly, into the thing, you know what I mean?
No.
Now, everybody knows that the original one was a crappy movie.
Yes.
But it's one of those things that's like, oh, number 2's coming out. Oh, I want to go see that crappy movie.
Well, you want to know,
you already know it's going to be crappy, but it's one of those things that because it is what it is that you want to go see it.
Well, you want to. One of the reasons, for example, I like seeing it. I just want to say this is
You're
because, I'm a car guy. So you get to hear a car that says 500 horsepower, and you're like, in real life, 150.
That's my point. Is you like cars, so you're into the franchise for another reason other than this is a great movie. You're liking it because you got some good exhibition of some good cars and things like that.
I think
good
that's
shots
stretching
of
a
things.
little bit.
It's gonna look awesome.
By the way, nobody calls this a good
movie. The Men in
movie.
Black franchise is the same thing for sci-fi nerds.
Except the fact that Men in Black doesn't completely lie about the cars that are in there.
They lie about the guns.
Well, see, I think it's basically the same thing.
And physics and.
I think the thing that's different is the car guys. I'm sitting there, they're going, okay, this car. They say this car has 500 horsepower, and you're thinking about it. It's like that's 250 tops. there's no way that gives you that with, so.
Right, like something like dual overhead cams, like something that doesn't exist.
Yeah. And,
okay.
Yeah, and enough nitrous to blow up a small building.
But what I'm curious about Men in Black 4, getting back to the point of why I was bringing this up, is that it's written by someone who doesn't really have any movies out.
What have they done?
Now, hold on. This is, according to IMDb, this is being done by Oren Uziel. I probably mispronounced the whole name.
Probably.
But who, according to IMDb, the only movie that they have out is Mortal Kombat Rebirth, which was made in 2010.
I haven't seen that one.
Other than that, this person only has 21 Jump Street 2, coming out in 2014. The Kitchen Sink, which you guys are going to have... I actually wrote down the IMDb plot to this one because this is just out there. The Kitchen Sink, a pair of teens form an unlikely alliance with vampires and zombies in order to take on a force of invading aliens.
The question is it serious or a comedy?
It's got to be a comedy. But this one's coming out in 2014. And then they're redoing... And then this person is also on the writing staff for the new Mortal Kombat, which does not have a release date.
God, will that franchise die?
And Men in Black 4, which also does not have a release date. And Downtown Owl, which I did not see any description for, and there's no release date on that either. So the only thing this person actually has written that you can actually look and see what their thing is a Mortal Kombat Rebirth movie.
There's nothing wrong with having an unknown entity. I mean, we've all been surprised by somebody we've never heard of and come away going,
exactly,
this was amazing. But on the other hand, it's pretty risky.
Yeah, so that's why I'm kind of like, well, they stuck him on a franchise that is still working on being redeemed.
It's still a major franchise, though.
Because but Men in Black 2 was such a stain.
Oh, I don't disagree.
That
it's a major franchise.
The franchise needs to be redeemed, and then the cartoon.
Oh man, that was back in the day.
Yeah.
It's one of the major franchises.
Well, you're saying franchise, so I'm saying this is what the franchise has. They have Men in Black 1, they have Men in Black 2, then they have the cartoon, and then they just are starting to get redeemed off of Men in Black 3.
Like Resident Evil. The only good Resident Evil movie is the first one.
Right.
Yeah, unfortunately, I just watched the newest one. And,
so I think,
but those are again, it's exhibition for horror fans. Like.
I don't know if I'd call Resident Evil horror.
Yeah, I'd say that's a game. It's gamer fans.
I mean, seriously.
And Mila Jokovic fans who are really getting sick of her.
Jokovic.
I mean, that's like calling Mortal Kombat a drama. It just
combat.
I like the Men in Black.
To be fair, the first one of those kicked ass too.
Yeah. I think the Mortal Kombat. I mean, golly.
What?
The first Mortal Kombat movie was actually pretty decent. The second one was awful.
Are you talking about when they actually were doing the finish him?
Yeah.
And fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. The first one was decent.
Wow. One?
Yeah, number one was decent for the time it was in. Come on. This is the same decade that Ninja Turtles came out in.
Did you like The Quest too?
What?
The Quest, Jean-Claude Van Damme.
It's another
movie
fight
was
fan.
Bloody terrible.
It was funny.
See, Mortal Kombat was the better version of that movie.
Exactly. That's why I'm bringing that one up.
I think Men in Black 4 has potential because it's
Monkey
sci-fi.
Style.
Well,
it's sci-fi.
One more thing about Mortal Kombat: how many times has that soundtrack been used in every sporting arena around the world as like a rally song?
It has some. It actually, if you look at the
so
CD,
has Queen.
But there's some pretty major bands on that soundtrack, though. I mean, that's a really good soundtrack.
Whatever.
I
still think the movie was sucked.
But anyway, I think the thing with Men in Black, I think it's the closest we're ever going to get to true hard sci-fi, even though it's more not. And people,
Serenity.
And people love sci-fi, so I think this is even poor sci-fi people are willing to see. So I think it'll be good. I mean.
That's why I compared it to the Fast and the Furious.
I actually think that's a fair comparison.
That is a fair comparison, honestly. But I don't know. I just thought it was very interesting that
to be a good comparison.
Right.
She'll be in the Mortal Kombat.
I'm I could actually see that.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I just said that.
Playing her SWAT character.
But I don't know. I like Men in Black.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna give this one kind of a chance. I'll probably actually go and try to track down that Mortal Kombat Rebirth or whatever. And
I've never heard of it.
See what the story actually is.
It was probably straight to VOD.
It probably was.
I was thinking, was it a DVD or was it a web release? Because there's a lot of people now who are doing just straight web movies.
I'm thinking it might be a web release. I'm not sure. If it's not, then it's a straight to DVD or a cartoon.
Well, they most of the time nowadays they're just going to do both. They'll release it, in like Walmart and Target and stuff like that. But most of it's going to be iTunes, Amazon, instant video kind of stuff, and they'll put it on Netflix in 3 months.
Yeah, if it's not there already.
If it's not there already.
Yeah, I don't know. So, I just thought that was interesting that they're giving it to somebody who really only has one thing that you can actually track down and view.
Yeah.
Because, like John said, it's a gamble.
It is, but really like with the technology, it's a lot easier for people to sort of get their calling card out there. You can make something in your garage that looks like something that would be shown on the big screen. You can show it to somebody and say, "Hey, look, this is what I can do." So it's a lot easier for these studios to sort of take it on faith. And obviously most of these people come out of film school, have some kind of short film credits and things like that.
So here it is. Mortal Kombat Rebirth, made in 2010. It says it's 8 minutes. Has a 7.8 rating.
Wow.
So probably pretty good then.
Yeah, I mean it's 8 minutes, so it's a web video. It's got to be a web release.
I mean, you probably did it on just as like a calling card kind of thing.
Yeah, so that's pretty much exactly what Ryan's saying is that this is what they did, and that's actually pretty cool that this person did that in 2010 and is now getting hired on for things in 2013.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So I wish this person luck. I'll actually go and check it out and see if it's actually decent. Which, I mean, you're saying it's 7.8, so it can't be horrible. But I mean, this is probably rated by Mortal Kombat fans.
Sure, but I think we were all Mortal Kombat fans at a certain point, weren't we?
Yeah. That was a long time ago.
Yeah, it really was. Sega.
Hey, who doesn't love nostalgia? I mean, the Hollywood is based off nostalgia nowadays.
True.
Look at Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah, that was a great flick.
So, ladies and gentlemen, for Jonathan Charney, James Stevens.
He's got to.
I know. Don't worry. Calm down. So
he's got to.
Asshole.
I gotta.
So what's your what movie are you doing? Since you guys want to mess with me.
Okay. The movie I picked was, let's see, what was it? 1998.
Yes.
Yeah, 1998. Canadian film entitled The Red Violin. I know it might seem as kind of a cop out because it was a wide release in America, but it's Canadian, so shut up.
And it's 2 hours and 10 minutes. It's a long ass
movie.
movie.
So it's shorter than this one.
Yeah, I was going to say mine was longer.
By 20 minutes? That's not much.
Actually, it is. It could be.
Yeah.
Anyway, go on.
But it's still, I still like this movie, and it still definitely has a lot of foreign sensibilities, despite some American actors.
Some American actors?
Most American actors.
Okay. I mean, they just went up, across the border.
Right,
hoppers.
pretty easy, yeah.
Border hoppers.
But at a time that they didn't have to, just for tax purposes.
That's true.
So, credit.
All right, whatever. Anyway, yeah, Red Violin next week. Look it up, find it, watch it. Shut up, listen.
So, ladies and gentlemen, shut up.
What he said.
Ladies and gentlemen, I gave the movie The Perfume, the story of a murder, 4 out of 5. James gave it 4 out of 5. Ryan gave it the reluctant 3 out of 5. We'll see you next week.